So we've talked a lot today about AI and how it's permeating and all the different innovative ways we can use it. What I'm going to talk a little bit about is using it ethically. And I was actually really happy during the panel to hear, I think almost every single panelist in one way or another mentioned how do you use AI? How can you use it ethically? And the idea of governing the way we use AI. Because AI is permeating everything that we do today. So who are we? IntraEdge is a global organization. We provide services, staffing, software development, and products to many large brands around the world. We're over 2,500 people. And we do this really with an emphasis, especially recently, on AI, on providing AI development and software. So that's kind of what our background is, and we've got offices all over the place. We have several product line groups. We have our services group that provides software development. We have our Learn group, which, as you could guess, is around learning and training. And then we have the Truyo platform, which is around governance and compliance. And this is used, again, by many large companies to help govern their privacy and AI usage and utilization. This group already knows this, but AI is changing like everything. It's massive, the impact that AI is having to businesses and to people. I happen to be lucky enough to be one of the low-level engineers standing around at Intel when somebody came up with the idea for the laptop, and I was involved in that and helped introduce it to the world, and it was crazy how transformative that was, to be able to carry a computer around with you when that was a very innovative and weird idea. AI is dramatically more impactful to the world than even for me what was the craziest idea I ever saw. We talked about this a little bit earlier, that the kind of three big changes that technology has driven in the world around microprocessors and then the internet and now AI. I don't think we really have processed yet how big this change is to businesses and to humanity, but it's just everywhere. It changes so many things in so many ways. And it's just accelerating now. So if we think about this, often we think AI, it's this brand new landscape and it's the Wild West and there's no regulation of it. That's not really true. There actually are regulations that already apply to using AI in business applications. Earlier we heard the difference between machine learning and generative AI. Machine learning, we've been doing that for a long time. At Intel, we have steppers that are much more efficient now because of the AI that's applied to them. That type of AI utilization has been around for a while, and there's really not a lot of governance around that or a lot of controls around that because people don't care. They don't care about what we call back-end usage of AI, but they do care about front-end usage. And in fact, there's several things today that regulate this already. One is there are many laws around the privacy of information, around personal information. If somebody has my personal information, I have a right to know that. I have a right to have it corrected. I have a right to see it or delete it. You're not exempt from these laws because you're using a generative AI model or because perhaps that was trained by public information. So you're still subject to the laws around privacy and around personal information. There's also lots of laws around automated decision making. Illinois was the first state that came up with a law around this, and I think almost every state has a law that somehow governs the use of automated decision making. So if you're using it in that context, you are in a segment that's already governed. Recently, though, we've seen an explosion of new legislation to try and provide some guardrails to how you use AI. In fact, there's so many of them that it's hard to keep track of all these. Connecticut, one of the leaders in providing an AI guidance law around regulating this, actually a decent law that I think has some good guidance in it. New York has a law specific to AI. Illinois has one on the books now. Canada has one of the oddest laws I've ever read. It's, if you've read any kind of legislation, it's very prescriptive, it's very specific. The AI law is incredibly general. It says stuff like, you should use AI ethically. It's actually a quote from the law. It's like, what does that mean? How do I do something with that? How do I even understand how to apply this in my life? And we're going to see more and more legislative momentum around regulating AI, and yet it's not very specific. Why is that? Because people don't really understand how AI works, and they don't really understand how it's used. And when you get to the legislature, they understand it even less and less. So why should I care about how AI is used in my company? Because there are risks associated with this. And as we've started to launch our product around AI governance for this, we've collected stories, real stories from large companies where they didn't understand the risks that they were taking around AI. You know, when AI is driving a car, people understand the risks associated with that. But inside of many companies, retailers and tech companies, they're using AI today and they don't understand the ramifications. And let me give you a couple of examples. So I said, you know, stepper motors, nobody cares. That's at the low end of the risk. What if you're using it to screen resumes? You know, you have some overworked person in HR, and every time they put up a job, they get all these applicants, and they get, you know, cleaning people and stockbrokers and all kinds of irrelevant things. And so, hey, I'll just use AI to just sort through it for me. Well, it turns out that's a very, very risky thing to do, because AI is extremely biased, as we've talked about early. And that's something that is regulated today, and you should be concerned about that kind of usage. If you're using a chatbot, is it the one making the decision about when you get to talk to an actual person? If so, you're regulated right now, because that's automated decision making. It may sound simple, but if that chatbot is the one that gets to decide whether I talk to a human being or not, you're now regulated. If you're putting things into ChatGPT that are perhaps highly confidential, we had one of our clients that wasn't a native English speaker, and he was doing a security audit, and he, you know, put it into ChatGPT, and he kind of proudly presented it as, hey, look, it actually reads nicely for a change. It's not just accurate. He actually breached his own data by pasting it in there. It was an extremely high risk usage of AI. These things are happening all over the place. And what's interesting about all of these stories is the people in charge didn't know about any of them. So the first thing you have to do is you have to figure out where you're using AI. And I had a very small time to spend with you guys today, so I thought I would talk about one thing. If you're going to do one thing around governance, if you're going to do one thing about ethical use of AI in your company, what would that be? It's training. Just start off by training employees that are leveraging AI, because everybody's doing it. Like, I put my resume into AI just to clean up the language, you know? Everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it at your company, whether you know about it or not. So start off with training. Just tell them that they need to consider the ethical implications of using AI. They need to consider the confidentiality of the information that they're using and leveraging when they start building these new innovative content creators that are kind of crazy. So what does our company do? What we do was around AI is have delivered an AI governance platform, and it starts with detecting usage. And that kind of sounds weird, but companies don't know where they're using it. And so it starts off with scanning everything in the company electronically, surveying employees, and just understanding where that usage begins and what type of use it is, categorizing it in a way by risk. Because there are very low risk usages of AI and there are very high risk usages of AI, and you have to understand where those fit so you can take the next step, which is to remediate some of that risk through training and through just assessing the projects and understanding better ways and more ethical ways to use AI. AI is changing everything. I've never seen anything like this in my career. Been doing technology since I was 14 years old, working on a computer the first time. I was at Intel when there were 70 people there, and saw the massive growth of the potential of the microprocessor, and especially the laptop, which I worked on. And I really thought I had seen transformation. I don't think anybody's seen anything like what AI is going to change in our world. That's it. Thank you.